Good morning and welcome to week 6 of TSM 348. So this morning we'll be reviewing what you have already seen or listened to on the economics of the hospitality and the travel industry, which comprises the growth of the industry, the needs and the travel partner, the ethnic restaurant, the economic impact. So we'll be looking at that this morning. We'll also be looking at pricing system and the industry, hospitality and travel industry. So this is what week 6 is about to take care of. So let's interact. You must have seen the material. So we have to go on and share the screen. Let's share the screen so that we'll talk about it. Can you see the screen, Precious?
Yes, I can see the screen.
All right. So we need to interact. We are discussing the economics of the hospitality and tourism travel industry. So to you, in your vision, in your view, what would you say that we are talking about when we are discussing the economics of the hospitality and travel industry?
And when we talk about the economics of the hospitality and travel industry, talk about the benefits, that's the income benefits, or like say economic benefits of the hospitality and travel industry to the economy of the country.
Okay. So to the best of your knowledge, would you ascertain that there have been benefit, as you said, into the hospitality or in the hospitality and travel?
You have to call Dean because I'm not living here. I said if you can carry me out of this place. Exactly.
Are you there?
I'm sorry, sir, please. Yes, I am here. Hmm?
The number can switch off. I got nothing to do. Voice.
Your discussion from behind is being recorded. That's why I'm giving
I will distract you.
You will distract me and you will lose your job, I swear to God.
You want to call, you make me pay.
Precious, I would suggest you sort out what it is and then re-log in again. All right. The question was, by your own perspective, with your own view and thinking, would you be able to say that the hospitality and tourism industry, the travel industry, have been economically effective, or that there is economic benefit arising from it? Unmute yourself.
There is economic impact arising from
Okay. The economic impact, the economics of hospitality and tourism. The tourists has produced a lot of economic impact beyond the expenditures, as we know and as we can understand. So, and the money they have produced will all return back to the circle of economies. So there have been a whole lot of economic benefit in the hospitality and tourism industry. So the circle of the benefit is always moving on and on. So the industry generates money and it comes back to the people. The staff take their money and they spend it locally within their environment and on the various goods and services of the industry. So the money continue to revolve around, and there is a whole lot of income from travel expenditures. So as at the time, there was over $500 billion coming in from travel related expenses. So in the United States, the hospitality and travel tourism industry has also empowered over 200 million of people. This is about 12% in the world economic or global workforce rate. The hospitality industry has several marketing that is also making it to grow. So we look at the growth of the industry. So we look at the growth of the industry. Okay, as you can see on your screen, we are looking at the growth of the hospitality industry. So from what you have understood through the teaching or the recording or the material you have read, what contribution can you make, or the assertions you can deduce from the growth of the industry?
Sincerely speaking, though, the hospitality industry has grown very, very big. It has grown from what it used to be years ago to something else. It's becoming larger and larger, having more guests. We have more guests, international guests, and it's going through a lot of evolution. I would like to call it revolution these days, because we have people who not only come, let's say for instance our hotels, not only come to lodge in our hotels. They come there while they seek for refuge or shelter. They also have to take care of them. We have the restaurants who take care of their feeding, and then we have little tourist sites like museums and all these parks, amusement parks, which also calls for their attention.
Okay. As you said, the industry have actually grown tremendously, and there have been a whole lot of evolution on the industry. So we have grown from that people that used to be by the rail side to people who moved by the city areas, and the traveling industry have made it very possible for this very act of expansion to be very, very useful. So you can see that from the time of rail to the automobiles, the time for aircraft, the industry have grown from strength to strength. So we are witnessing a whole lot of growth in the industry because of the flying or the aeroplane advent in the traveling sector. So, and so much hotels have also been built close to the industry of the airports, and that have made the accommodation and the catering aspect of the industry to continue to boom. All right. So another thing we need to also look at is the needs and travel pattern. So as a person who have also looked at this, what would you say are the needs and the travel pattern of the tourist?
The needs of a tourist, will I say, is relative, because a tourist travels for several reasons. Or like say travel, whoever travels for several reasons. Some may be just for leisure travels, for entertainment, some maybe to widen their horizons, some may be due to, like, we have love needs, maybe affection, our relatives and our loved ones are over there. Then some may be like we have another esteem needs to boost our self-respect. Like when we now come out, for instance, I go out and tell someone I've traveled to Dubai, I've traveled to go and see the king, the president of United States of America, is going to add to my prestige and are going to be respecting me a very lot. So the needs and reasons we travel really differs. That's the truth.
All right, and quickly we look at the screen there, which open this up and say that there is motivation of pleasure travel, which can be classified into these 5 aspects. So we have people who do the psychological needs. People travel for their taste for food. You know, so many people foodies, and these foodies want to, like, okay, we are going to this place because of we want to do this food, we want to test this food, we want to see how people eat, you know. So some people, because of water, some people oxygen, that is their psychology. There's something that makes them to want to do that travel. Now the safety need, some people also have the need because they want to be security abound, stability, order, protection. Now, as you said, the loved ones, affection, identification, belonging. People travel for all these purposes. Then we have people who travel for esteem. People who want to, like, achieve self-respect, prestige, success. They say they are traveling for these purposes. And then we have the people who do this for self-actualization. They want to be fulfilled because they did traveling. So we have motivators. We have motivators. There are things that motivates these people. And we have the physical motivators. And these physical motivators, we can look at people talking about the physical rest, sporting, the beach activities, the relaxation centers. These are the things that can make people want to travel. We also look at the cultural motivation. There are cultural motivation. Now, people travel because of a certain type of music, a certain type of art, a certain type of folk tale, a certain type of dance. This makes people to travel. So they travel for different reasons. We also have interpersonal motivation. So this interpersonal motivation, you want to meet friends. As you said, maybe you leave your location now, you are coming to Abuja. I just want to see this, my facilitator. He said he's in Abuja. You are traveling from your location to see me. It is for interpersonal reasons. That is why you did that travel. So some other people do it. There's another motivator, which is that of status and prestige motivation. And this is to the desire for being recognized. I want to be recognized. I want attention to be paid to me. I want to be appreciated. I want to have good reputation. Now, this is one class of motivators. There is another class of motivator, and which is that people travel mainly for business. People travel mainly for business. And you can see that even much more people travel for business than that of leisure. So many people do traveling for the sake of business. In the line of that travel, they have interaction with other people. So there is a connect. There are people who might be on one trip of, let's say you are going from Nigeria to Europe, and across the line of your travel, you now begin to see that you are seeing somebody from Japan, you are seeing somebody from China, you are seeing somebody, there is this interaction that also take place at that point. And that will begin to bring so many interaction, so many connection, making people to be one another. Now, because of this increase, the need to build convention centers and make the travelers be effective and efficient also arise. And because people will be traveling for business, and the travelers has to make provisions for. So there is a boost in the hotel, there is a boost in the restaurant, there is also boost in the auto or mobile renters. Because when somebody is leaving his own environment to another place and you want to move, there is certainly, you must find a way to move. You must have a way to go around your business in that place. So the most hotels who are close to these conventional centers are also running high occupancy rate. You find out that, assuming now that we're having conference and you are to leave your location to come to the conference, and let's say we are using the ICC in Abuja for this conference, you will not start going to look for a hotel that is in Jabi or in Otako or Mararaba. You must look for a place close to the conference center. So whenever these centers are, and those people going for such activities, they will always want to have their accommodation close to where they are. So for most organizations, the highest expenditure, controllable expense, is the traveling and the entertainment business. So if we must know that people will travel, we also need to know why they are traveling and the need for this very travel. So this is why it is very important for what we are doing and understanding it so much. Another thing we look at is the ethnic restaurant. So to you, what do you see as the ethnic restaurant, Precious?
Ethnic restaurants are local restaurants, the restaurants that we find mostly in the localities where we go on tourism to. They are
Okay.
not like all these five-star restaurants.
Okay. That definition can actually bring us close to what ethnic restaurant looks like. But ethnic restaurant has to do with most of those restaurants that sell a particular food belonging to a particular person or people or group of persons. Where we talk about restaurant like Chinese restaurant, Spanish restaurant, Italian restaurant, and nowadays you can hear abroad that people are running Nigerian restaurant, or you are running African restaurant abroad. So those are what we call the ethnic restaurant. And we also hear so much about the Mexican restaurant. All these restaurants, wherever they are, we also attract people. They will always bring patronage. And you see that even in Nigeria here now, we have the Lebanese restaurant. And some of the things they use in those restaurants, we are also producing it in Nigeria here. So all these things are circle and attributes that have come from the effect of travel and tourism. And it is bringing the economic benefit to tourist industry. So we look at the economic impact. So what would you say that has been the economic impact of these activities to tourism and hospitality?
The economic impact is great and is beneficial that 3.8 naira has 278 and now. And we also have we see that they say that by 2007, which is already past, we'll be having $7.1 trillion investment in tourism. So, but from what I already know, by development of hotels, airlines, and other tourist attractions, the economic impact of tourism in the economy is really great and beneficial.
All right. I would equally add to that you have said that over $1.6 billion has been generated from tourism. And you find out that tourism continue contributing to the GDP of every nation. Though in our nation, Nigeria, we have not seen so much impact of tourism because of the way tourism is being managed. But gradually, we will know that tourism has actually contributed. And like places like America, each state has their own tourism figures and what it has been bringing to them. Even in Nigeria here, so I was saying that in Nigeria here, that tourism has actually contributed, but we have not taken much recognizance of it. More so, like in countries like America, every state puts its own record and makes it visible. The same way it's supposed to be in every nation. So tourism comes as a benefit to every nation, and people have their contributions to do as it regards tourism. Each state have their figures. In your materials, you will see the figure that came from New York, the figure that came from Florida, but these are outside Nigeria. So in what we want to do is to make sure that some of the studies we will do have to revolve around Nigeria so that we will know what we are doing here. So the data issues in Nigeria has to be taken serious so that we can be able to keep our facts and what is happening in tourism in Nigeria. So having said that, we will be saying, let's stop at this station to refuel the tank. What does this mean? Let's examine the needs of travel patterns. So the needs and travel patterns is centering our discussion. So I want you to examine that critically on your own, assuming that you are to examine the needs and the travel patterns. How would you put it? How would you make a layperson outside there to understand what we are talking about?
Okay, to explain to another person now outside here, for instance, right?
Yes.
I would let the person understand what traveling is and how necessary it is to income and what necessitates traveling. For instance, I have to let the person know that people have different reasons why they travel. Some travel, like you say, due to business issues, perhaps they have to either run businesses either from one state to another or from one country or location to another. Some travel to go see their loved ones. either their parents or their love interest, and some others travel to go try and test out foods, or maybe for food, drinks, and other stuff. Some also travel for leisure. They travel, as they will say, there's a party going on in Lagos and they have to go there. Not that it's going to add anything to their pockets, like financially, but just that they feel they have to go and enjoy themselves. Maybe there's a new beach or a new resort that is opened. They have to travel to these places. And this, due to all these traveling, the resorts and the tourist attractions around, they also have to improve on themselves. We now see them developing airlines. A few years ago, we didn't have as much as all these airlines now. We have seen them developing airlines, developing what they call it, trains, that's railways, and even what they call it, some go through the sea. We have our boats, and people are investing in all those sectors. Some people are even investing in the tourism sector, like the hotels, resorts, and restaurants, because they've been able to understand that the way people are traveling all these days is going to bring a great, what they call it, returns to them when they make investments into these sectors. So that's it.
Beautiful. So I want to believe that you have actually keyed into the need and travel patterns of people. So we need to forge ahead, and we're also looking at time. I want to see whether we can round up in the next 5 minutes so that you rest for the next section. And we'll also be looking at pricing system and the hospitality industry. Now, when we look at pricing have actually varies. You know, so many people have looked at hospitality industry as one single market, but we actually have a multi-system market in the industry. We might have a single product with different market related expansions. So those are the activities in pricing. You know, when you said you are coming to hospitality industry, there's one thing that will be obvious in your mind: accommodation. Now, if you look at accommodation, and you also look at when you reach there, food will be served to you. There will be bars, there will be sports. All these arms is different markets already. So, but they have been priced in different ways. So it is combination and attracting factor to some circumstances. So if you now look at those pricing system and you look at the factor, you cannot say that price is not assumed to be independent variable. So we only deal with the factors of supply as we are. So we will also be doing with factors uh, of the products as we are moving on. So these factors are the things that brings pricing. So the pricing system are very complex. Here, the issue is mainly concerned with the economic side that affect pricing and also affects the place we are. So you can find out that there is characteristics that makes both the supply and the demand to function. And that is what the pricing system will always bring us to. And that will quickly lead us to the pricing, the supply characteristics, the supply characteristics, and you find out that in the traditionally of economies, you find out that when there is a change in demand or supply, there will be change in demand. All those things happens in the industry. And you know that in the industry, supply normally reflects the cost of production within a time frame. So these costs are assumed to be both the price of actors of production, which includes labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and other resources. And when we talk about cost, we look at the fixed and the variable cost, and average and marginal cost. So all this cost is what we use to build up the industry. There are numbers of characteristics that makes up the hospitality and tourism service unique, though complicated. And this is the capital intensive and the fixed cost. The hospitality industry is capital intensive, which already we know. For you to say you are in the hospitality industry, you must have a whole lot of money, which must be substantial amount to be invested, especially in the building first. So you see that the building takes much more of the money. We also have that will keep us in continuity and reliability factor. Because for you to say that you are going to make profit, you have to be in the business. You have to be reliable. We have also a factor that is the labor and the responsibility. The tourism industry is human intensive. It's not where machine works, it's where human beings work. And because human beings are working at that point, they work for 24 service hours, they work 365 days in a year. So this industry will always have a capital and labor intensive people. So another major characteristics we'll be looking at in the hospitality is the the operations within a constraint of a number of these three main factors: the long planning cycle, which is usually done in advance for both production and capital sector. Now, when we say this, we are looking at the changes in capacity as regards to both supply and demand, which requires long-time planning. And when you say long-term planning, you now know that you cannot just say, I'm waking up now, I'm going to start hotel today. It's not possible. You are going to have a construction of the hotel. You will be hiring employees. There will be service to render. All these things, you have to look at it critically. Now, we also have the capital cycle. So we need to also see that as an effective thing. We need to see that as an effective thing on the capital cycle on its own. So when you say we have this capital cycle, we'll be looking at that point that will make us begin to see things the way they are supposed to be. So the capital cycle is also based on long time, since the hotels are to be in cycle for at least 50 years. So when we said we are looking at the hotel cycle, at least each hotel, when you build it, we'll be talking about it lasting for 50 years before we begin to say, okay, we are making, we are tired, we are phasing out. We also have a sinking or a sink or sunk cost, which actually revolves around the production, the expenses, and alternative capital assets. Doing the hospitality business, we always introduce you to cost. And that cost, we always continue to run. So, however we want to do it, we must first of all find ourselves in that very cost. All right? Then we also have the pricing structure. And individual price different thing, different product. So here we have product differentiation. You will look at a product, in the industry there, you can see two hotels opposite each other. but they are having different charges. Their tariffs
Yes.
are different. They are not doing the same thing. In fact, if you go to their restaurant, you will see that one restaurant is selling a cover at 5,000 naira. The other one opposite it is selling 2,500. There is always these differentiations in the hotel. So pricing can start as very simple manner and gradually go on into the higher place. And that is what we'll be looking at as a oligopoly. We have heard about oligopoly, where it is one person's thing, but have different curves and different demands. It has a reflection of a graph, which we can see in the next page. You can see that there are different products we are selling, and we have different prices attached to it. So we have different product demands and different prices attached to it. This is how it works in the industry. So here, the firm will offer three separate services, and you can see it that there is different prices, different services. So everybody in its own class, and the same way it is like you are flying in the same aeroplane, right? You see that there is people in first class, there is people in economic class. Is that not? But you are in the same aeroplane. So the same way it is in the industry, you can see some people having a meal of 10,000, some people having a meal of 1,000. It's the same industry. So that is what the graph before you is trying to explain. So there are different costs, there is different demand. So based on this demand analysis, they already pointed out that demand should be segmented, which implies that no single demand supply curve exists in the case. So in the hospitality industry, you cannot say that we have one curve. This is how it is. No, there is different choices. There are different curves.
Supply curve.
Yes. So we make presentation based on what we offer. So that is why people will always see the hospitality industry in different characteristics and in different attitude. So we also have the demand characteristics. The demand characteristics. Now, when you look at the demand characteristics, you see that there are numbers of curves you will see, and these numbers of curve also varies based on what the supply is. So we also work according to the demand. What is this? What are we looking at? What are people considering? What are they pricing? What can we offer to them? All these things come into play in the industry. So the other characteristics demand for service of the hospitality industry is intermodal. You find out that we have the intermodal system, we have also the intramodal system. So the former demand is based on the availability and opportunity suitable for the mode of accommodation of flights. So you find out that for you to discuss your business as a hospitality business person, you need to ask yourself, how will they come here? By what means will they come here? How will I even tell people where I am? You need to know that first, all right? And then we have to also look at the type of demand that takes cognizance of this price and service competitors. And you can find out that competition is within the same firm as it applies in all service agencies. And the hotel competition is also very high. when you talk about the hospitality and tourism competition, it's very, very high. So, but you also have to use what you have to keep your customers. You have to make them to be loyal to you. That is what we call the customer retention or customer loyalties. All these things are very feasible. And that will take us to the market structure. And a market structure will begin to look at the systems of the market, which actually brings us to the different type of market system. The economists have actually separated markets, and they have studied the market, and they are telling us that we have the pure competition, we have the monopolistic market competition, we have the oligopoly, and we have the pure oligopoly. And this will look at, and you will see that in the each of the market structure, before you there now, you look at the pure competition. There are many people inside it. It is heterogeneous in nature, and the entrance and the exit to this market is free. Anybody can come in, anybody can go out at any time. Now, we have to also look at the monopolistic competition, which the number of people is many. But there are different services. There is different services. Then coming in and going out is relatively easy. Now, we have the oligopoly market, which few people practice, as in the case of us, as hoteliers or tourism people. We are in oligopoly market. It's not for everybody. So it is heterogeneous and it is differentiated. Now, it is also relatively difficult to enter and go out because it is somehow controlled and monitored. We also have pure monopoly, where there is one person affair, is not indifferent, so they produce the same thing, and the market is closed. It is one-man show, so anything can happen there. So the person works as it wants. So you cannot see that oligopoly has the following elements. It is few firm, its products are differentiated, and there is free entrance and exits to with sometimes difficulties attached to it. So the hospitality industry is actually in this point. And there was another study because of the services and the activities of the hospitality industry to make us understand the demand and the activities we do, the competitive nature, the distinctive nature of the industry. There was another kind of demand, which is the kinked demand of price policy, which the industry has to look at. And this will be matched by all its competitors, although such changes can lead to little share or shape of all of the markets. So the kindled curve of demand is somehow oligopolistic in nature. And this is the curve, as we can see. So you can see that it's almost the same thing in demand. It's coming down and it's going up. So that is the hospitality industry for you. So both the output and the input is almost the same. It's almost the same. So another thing we need to look at is the impact of the price on the life cycle of the product. And when you talk about life cycle, it's like somebody, you give birth, as you are here now, you give birth to a child. Now, before you have given birth to that child, you have carried the child for 9 months, you give birth to this child, that is borning the child, introduction, you watch the child grow, You watch the child reach maturity, though in our own lifetime, we don't pray to see our child die in front of us. But you will now see that their child will grow from that growth to maturity. At a point, you see that the child is getting weak. He cannot perform again. Before you know it, the child is gone. So, but there is a peak. And this peak is where it is heightened in the industry. So that growth is the cycle. That from the introduction to the growth, to the maturity, to the decline, and the abandonment of this business is what we call the product life cycle. So this is what it gives the decisions and makes the pricing of the industry. And you find out that all these things controls the activities of the industry. There are industry that you go to, they are high, even if they are changing their price, their customers will not go because they retain them because of what they offer. It is that they offer that makes the customers to stay. So even if they change price, even if the people opposite them are very little in their price, they will not be able to go there because of the standard these people have kept. So those are the things that maintain price. So the graph before you now shows the life cycle of every product: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. And you have to see time under it. So as it is, this time is there is introductory stage in the industry. That is the foundation. It began to grow. Then it reaches its peak, the maturity. Now it began to decline. This is where you now see the industry people will start telling you, we need renovation, we need to re-strategize, we need to replan, we need to do this. All those things will start coming up. And because the industry needs your time. So we also need to work as a team again. And when we do that, the job will always get lighter. So let's build this block. What is the block we are building? What is the essence of pricing system in the hospitality and travel industry?
The price system in the hospitality industry is very is very important business or whatsoever. You need you are going man state that the higher the price of the goods, the lesser the demand for it would be, and the lesser the price of the goods, so the higher the price of the demand would be. So when going to the hospitality industry, you have to know what you want. And when going to the pricing system, you have to make sure that depending on your consumers, you have to make it either elaborate, not too low, not too high, in order to be able to meet the needs of your consumers. Because in a situation whereby you are tending to consumers who are on a low income or who are trying to save up, and you're now giving them let's perhaps put your restaurants or your hotels at a very high price, you will see that the demand for it will be very low, and it would also affect the supply also. That's it.
Thank you so much, Precious, for this time. And we will be having the next section in a jiffy. And I will also want you to try as much as to connect and maybe reach out to your classmates. I believe as we do this, we'll be rounding the whole section up today. As we round up the next week, we'll do our revision and do our assignment. I wouldn't want to stop anybody from writing exams, but it's as if that is what is about to happen. Because by the time we write the report that so many people are not attending the class, they will stop people from writing their exam. So I don't wish anybody misses this exam, and I want you to continue. You have tried from day one to today, and others have been trying. I don't know what they're having, maybe network issues today. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Yes, Precious.
Sir, please, concerning this, I think it could also be could also be due to network issues. Like where I'm staying, I don't have good network there, so I had to leave my place yesterday night and come to the church to come and
Okay.
stay for video. Then after I had to wait this time for the meeting, so it could be due to network issues.
Okay.
That's why.
Yeah, I have put that factor into consideration, and that's why I said I wouldn't know what it is, but we can't do the assignment physically. It's something that must also be online, and it has to start the same time and be submitted at the same time. So I'm trying my possible best. I don't have numbers. The only number I have is those who are in the group chat, and it's the only few of them. This class, for as at yesterday, has been for 30-something participants, and it's only about 8 people that are in the WhatsApp and Telegram group. So even if we are doing that assignment, it will affect them. As I said, I'm putting everything into consideration. Let's round up the class today. I still appreciate your effort, but the class is remaining another 1 hour ahead. So I will allow you to rest. If there's a place you can freshen up a little bit, do that. By 1 sharp, we log in for the next class. Thank you so much.